How do you fix an overspending problem? By spending more money, of course.
The following is a world-class Bullshitters exclusive.
Money is tight for Disney. With $48 billion in debt and fan interest waning by the day, and impending blockbusters going bust, Disney needs to announce some good news. Well, that's the opposite of what we're about to talk about. But before we do, today's video is brought to you by us at shopwcbs.com. It's summertime, it's getting hotter, but you have to wear something out in public, so why not wear something with style and class? World class, that is. So go to shopwcbs.com and get yourself an official WCBS t-shirt. There are dozens of choices designed by me, and all of our shirts are shipped and printed through Teespring, so you get their customer service, support, as well as the high quality each of their t-shirt carries. So go to shopwcbs.com right now to grab one of those, and since it's summer and it's so damn hot out, you might want something cool to drink. So why not drink that cool beverage out of an official WCBS pint glass? When you do, you'll become the fifth bullshitter. You can crack a cold one with us and spend your summer watching all the new world-class bullshitters content coming your way, including the return of good morning pop culture. So folks, you can click on those links below, get yourself an official WCBS piece of glassware, wear the t-shirt, and hang out with us all summer long. And now, back to the video. Folks, WCBS has an all-new exclusive look at the newest Disneyland ride. What it's like to be a fly on the wall at Disney. There, you can learn what it's like to be inside of a sinking ship. You could watch executives turn white while looking at the numbers of Disney Plus subscribers ditching the service, hear investor calls complaining about the plummeting value of the stock, and listen to Bob Iger try to smooth things over. But the most exciting part of that ride would be to hear the reasons they've pushed back all their major films. And that has just happened. Disney's film empire has reimagined its theatrical release calendar in a major way. The studio announced a slew of changes on Tuesday, led by the news that it'll be setting 2 Star Wars movies
We're in the midst of 2 wars?
for 2026 and pushing back Avatar 3 by a year. On the Marvel Studios front, the Kang Dynasty has been pushed back a year to May 1st, 2026. The feature has embattled Jonathan Majors attached in the lead role. The actor is facing assault charges in New York court. The follow-up Avengers Secret War has been pushed back another year to May 7th, 2027. Lucasfilm, everyone's favorite Disney studio, has not had a Star Wars feature in theaters since 2019's The Rise of Skywalker. At April's Star Wars Celebration, it teased its theatrical future, including a feature to star Daisy Ridley, another from The Mandalorian's Dave Filoni, and an epic from James Mangold. On Tuesday, Lucasfilm moved a previously dated Star Wars movie from December 2025 to May of 2026. The Ridley feature is the furthest along in development and is likely to open on that date. And curiously, Lucasfilm revealed in the announcement that it had added another Star Wars feature for just 5 months later, December 18th, 2026. Wow, another Star Wars movie! Just what they need. I guess they're not selling off anytime soon. How many Star Wars films have been announced so far that have gone nowhere? 16. The answer is 16. The number may change rather soon if history repeats itself. The amount of unmade Star Wars films is close to double the amount of produced Star Wars films, not including the Clone Wars, which all started life as big announcements just like this one. Announcing yet another Star Wars film while a dozen films are pushed back to the next decade, in the case of Avatar 5, is quite telling of Lucasfilm's more is more strategy that hasn't worked. At Star Wars Celebration, 3 new films were announced, a Filoni, a Mangold, and a Daisy Ridley-led one. But that's not 100% set in stone, is it? Indiana Jones 5 is stinking up the joint and is expected to flop. Why is Lucasfilm so excited to reward failure? Now, the film has to come out first, but every single metric for this film spells disaster. Maybe they shouldn't have shown the film at the Cannes Film Festival. Maybe they should have announced a bunch of films so far in advance. It's not a successful strategy, at least not yet. But here we are with another one. 2026 will give us 2 Star Wars films in 1 calendar year. Lucasfilm has attempted this strategy before. Not necessarily 2 films in 1 calendar year, but they've given us 2 Star Wars films in a 6-month window. December 2017 had The Last Jedi, and May 2018 had Solo: A Star Wars Story, which was historic because it was the first Star Wars film that outright flopped at the box office. The film was 80% complete before Kathleen Kennedy, the president of Lucasfilm, fired directors Phil Lord and Chris Miller and hired Ron Howard to finish the film. The decision was not successful, and Solo went on to be historic for the only Star Wars film to outright flop. That weighed heavily on those inside of Disney. In a 2019 interview with the New York Times, Bob Iger said that he thought the company might have put a little bit too much into the marketplace too fast in terms of Star Wars. He said that last Star Wars movie, Solo: A Star Wars Story, released at the end of 2018, substantially underperformed. It brought in a meager $400 million in revenue, which resulted in the studio deciding to slow down the production rate of the saga films. They swore they wouldn't repeat the same mistake, but here we are in 2023, and Lucasfilm is doing the exact same thing. When will they ever learn? One factor these companies never take into account is the fact that one film will impact the other. Star Wars is not Marvel. For decades, fans have been conditioned for Star Wars as one saga. To the audiences, a Star Wars film is a Star Wars film, and one bad one will drive them away from the next. Just look at the sequel trilogy. Most fans see it all as one saga, even if it's not. How does the old saying go? Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results? If Lucasfilm is expecting a different result after the Rey film, call in Judas Priest because they've got another thing coming. This news also comes at a terrible time as insider information about Lucasfilm's ballooning budget comes to light. We've already covered that in a separate video, click the card on top of the screen for more, but Lucasfilm spends money on Star Wars like it's going out of style, and it's not yielding a positive result. Solo was reshot after 80% of the film was completed, and it was a flop. The Rise of Skywalker cost over $400 million, and while it did cross $1 billion, what was the profit margin on that? Bob Iger has said that Disney needs to be more cautious with spending, and these things need to be more profitable in terms of film and streaming. But Lucasfilm didn't get that memo. I'll make sure Bill Lumbergh sends one over in the morning. If Indiana Jones flops, will some of these announcements just disappear? The other 16 projects are DOA, so why would fans expect these to go through? There's a large contingency of fans who don't even expect the Rey film to actually get produced. Why would Lucasfilm push forward with more content from the sequel trilogy era? The Galactic Star Cruiser, which was a luxury hotel experience featuring the sequel trilogy hero Rey fighting against the evil, in quotations, Kylo Ren, well, that's closing in a few months. It failed. It's no more. It will cease to be. Yes, the price has a lot to do with it, but the content is not worth the price of admission. Everything that's associated with that version of Star Wars doesn't work, yet Lucasfilm keeps trying. Follow Disney's advice and just let it go. All of these films being pushed back means the delayed box office money for Disney. Right now, they need that money more than ever. The writer's strike is delaying a lot of these, but leave it to Lucasfilm, the special child of Disney, to rush in and announce another one. Folks listening at home, how many of these films do you think will actually get made? Will 1 out of 4 happen? Meatloaf said 2 out of 3 ain't bad, but I don't even think 2 out of these 4 will get made. An expensive flop is just that, an expensive flop. And look at something like Willow. They announced 3 seasons were going to happen, and 1 season has happened, and the rest is history. And I mean, the show is history. It won't happen. It's done. It's not coming back. You're supposed to appear strong in business, but they just appear bullheaded. More Rey, more this, more that, a 10 Commandments style Star Wars epic from James Mangold. How much is that going to cost? The actual 10 Commandments from the 1950s cost $13 million. That's a lot of money for 1956. So, are we going to get the equivalent of that for the Star Wars film? And will it make the equivalent successful money back? I don't know. If you would have talked to people a few months ago, everyone would have been excited for Patty Jenkins' Rogue Squadron film, but that one's not happening. Creative differences are the reason why she stepped away officially, but what are creative differences? That is such a broad term, it could mean anything. But I guess we'll have to play the old wait and see game because, well, we'll have to wait to not see these films. But I want to know what you think. Here are your 3 questions for today. 1. Do you want another Star Wars movie announced? 2. Do you think any of these 4 announced films will get made? And 3. Of them, which would you like to see the most? I'm in the camp of I don't want to see any of these movies. I can live and die by the first 3 Star Wars films. Hell, if I'm feeling saucy, I'll just watch the first one and that's enough for me. It's the story of a boy, a girl, and a universe, and it's a complete story. But, like everyone else, I do enjoy the Star Wars saga. It's one of the greatest epics in film history, hell, in history in general, up until 2015. I would like something to redeem the saga, but it's going to take a whole hell of a lot. And if these movies have just always failed to launch, we're always going to be left with that bad taste in our mouth. It's been 4 years since Lucasfilm has released a Star Wars film, or any film in general, and as I keep saying in the videos, the next one isn't lined up to be a big, beautiful hit. If Indiana Jones 5 goes from the Dial of Destiny to the Dial of Disaster, well then James Mangold has a lot of work ahead of him. But Kathleen Kennedy and crew just love to reward failure, they love to reward overspending, they love to reward stupidity. I feel like a lot of people would do well in Lucasfilm. Children without an education, guys that are burnouts from the 60s, a lot of people who just aren't really with it will do a wonderful job at Lucasfilm. By the way, folks, if you're a child or a hippie burnout from the 1960s, no disrespect is meant towards you. You just shouldn't work at Lucasfilm. So folks, I'm going to get out of here. I'll be back next time with more. Before we go, I'd like to say, rest in peace to John Romita, the greatest Spider-Man artist to ever live, the greatest Marvel artist to ever live. He passed away at the age of 93. So normally I end these videos on a high note, and this one is a high note as well, because his work has transcended time, everyone has seen his Spider-Man work, and everyone has loved it. So, R.I.P. John, he's the reason why I became a professional artist. So folks, thank you for watching. I'll be back next time with more, but in the meantime, be smart, be safe, be cool, but always be excellent to each other.
Thanks for watching today's video. Yes, it's over, but don't cry because there's more, a lot more from World Class Bullshitters. And there's only one way to get it. Hit that subscribe button below. When you do that, you'll get notifications and updates from World Class Bullshitters every time we go live. Basically, you won't miss anything. And if there's one thing I hate, it's FOMO. But the thing most people hate more than FOMO is fear of missing out on World Class Bullshitters, because there's just some things you can't undo. So folks, do yourselves a favor and never miss anything from World Class Bullshitters. One last thing before you go, hit the thumbs up button. Not for our egos, no, they're big enough as this, but it does help us fight the algorithm here, and well, it's man versus machine, and that's the real fight. But if that's not your battle, that's okay. There's one last way you can help WCBS, and that's going over to shopwcbs.com, picking up a t-shirt, a beer glass, a sweatshirt, a poster, all sorts of ways to back WCBS. The difference between us and other YouTube channels is I'm the artist that makes all this stuff, so if you enjoy art, beyond t-shirts, you can even read our comic books. We got it all. We're called the epitome of pop culture for a reason, and no, again, it's not for our egos. So folks, make sure you're involved with every aspect of World Class Bullshitters, not just for us, but do it for yourself. We're making the change in entertainment everybody out there wants to see. And a special thank you goes out to all of our wonderful patrons who make this content possible. Go to patreon.com/worldclassbs to get involved and help out the channel.